Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here. This is going to be our long talk discussion about the WWE Extreme Rules pay-per-view coming up this weekend. It's going to be a good show. I mean, honestly, when it comes down to it, this is a game breaker for the WWE. I mean, this is a big time change. I mean, I talked about this a lot on my TNA Sacrifice video. Just basically, there was 2 fights on that show that I really wanted to see. When it came down to it, there was 3 fights on the whole show that were good. And then you have to really sit down and you have to think about it. If those 3 matches that you saw that were good, were they really worth $50 at the end of the day? How many times has a TNA or WWE pay-per-view came along and you were, on the fence if you wanted to buy it? Every once in a while, there's a WrestleMania, there's a Royal Rumble, there's a SummerSlam that comes up, and it's like, that's a guaranteed buy because that's an awesome card. But how many times do you see, John Cena and Randy Orton fighting for the 1,000th time? Or you see, just a whole bunch of mid-card matches that just don't really seem to get you that much. And you're like, I really want to see the main event, but at the end of the day, do I want to throw down $45 to $50 in order to see this show? This show, to me, is basically free. Yes, the WWE Network does cost $9.99 a month. And I don't even want to get into the debate about the people who, are already seeing that they think WWE is going to raise the price to $11.99, $12.99, $14.99. I don't care what it costs. I know that people last month got WrestleMania on the network, but this is the first time that it affects my life. WrestleMania is a pay-per-view that I just pretty much mark on the calendar every year. I'm taking vacation. I'm going to the show. It's one that I want to and I have to see live. But Extreme Rules to me is a show that when it comes down to it and I'm looking at it, it'd be cool to see Evolution versus The Shield. Daniel Bryan versus Kane really doesn't get me. If it wasn't for me looking at WWE.com right now, I wouldn't know a lot of the matches that were going down. This isn't a guaranteed buy for me, but I get this show for free. Bam! Can't beat it. I just think about it, how much I use the WWE Network. I take my iPad to work every day. Most of the time I come home and I watch something. Just this week I've watched World Class Championship Wrestling. I've watched an ECW pay-per-view. WrestleMania Rewind is one of my favorite shows. There's the Legends House, which is on tonight on Thursday. That's me reminding myself that I need to watch this. Think of all those things that they gave us on the Ultimate Warrior during Warrior Week. I basically have canceled my cables. I have canceled my cable subscription because of the WWE Network. Because I have Netflix, because I have Hulu, I'm able to save that $100 a month basically because they came out with this deal for $10 a month. I get so much stuff on there that I don't even really have to think about this show costing $10 to me. It is just basically WWE giving me one more extra show that happens to be a pay-per-view, which they now call special events. This is awesome. This is a game changer. This is a big deal. I hope everybody gets that. When it comes down to it, WWE used to put on an Extreme Rules show where every match had some sort of a stipulation that, just meant something that it sort of added to the fact. Sometimes the stipulations weren't as great as the other ones, but most of the times they did deliver a pretty good show. This one makes me scratch my head. There's some matches that don't have stipulations. They're just normal matches. It just sort of seems like they didn't really realize what they were doing. Sometimes when you book pay-per-view names a year out, in order to keep up traditions, it's hard to get to a point where you're going to need to have some sort of a stipulation in there. But this match changes all the rules. Throw it out. I don't care about it. People were saying on Raw that they were disturbed by this match. Just couldn't believe that WWE thinks people are going to tune in. This match is going to be awesome. We have Hornswoggle going up against El Torito in the first ever WeLC match. Stevie Breach, what is a WeLC match? I don't even know. The limits are endless. I would guess this is a playoff on the TLC match, and they're calling them Wee Man, or pretty much whatever it is. But basically, we're going into this match, and these 2 guys hate each other. There's a big-time rivalry going on between the Matadors and 3-Man Band. Hornswoggle sort of fell in place with 3-Man Band, filling in for Heath Slater. I heard that he was overseas doing singles matches, I think when they were over there touring Saudi Arabia and everything like that, and he has been the perfect fit for 3-Man Band with the chest tattoo, wearing basically just the best showing off the Muppet tattoos, no more, Irish hats, no more green vests and suits. Basically, it's been a while since Hornswoggle's been on TV. I had honestly just forgotten about what happened to it, and I actually had to go to the biggest Great Khali fan there is in all of YouTube, and I had to ask Assault and Battery, whatever happened to the, basically the faction of Natalya, the Great Khali, and Hornswoggle. One of the greatest, mysteries of the WWE. Basically it's a great spot to put Hornswoggle. I don't know if he's another guitarist in three-man band, or if they've added him as a drummer, or if he's the roadie, or what he is, but it is awesome. El Torito has been the one bright spot of the Matadors. When they were first announced, I had high hopes for these guys, but it just seems to be Epico and Primo coming out there wrestling with capes and having the mini guy running around like he's a bull. He does do some high spots. He does add some things at some certain shows, and they are pretty badass, and they are pretty cool. But overall, I just don't see the Matadors being a gimmick that continues on for years and years and years. But then again, three-man band has been around since Raw 1000, and that's a whole lot longer than I think a whole lot of other people thought they would be going down. I have no clue what this is going to be. I don't know what a WLC match is going to be. I'm guessing mini ladders, mini tables. Maybe like, they have, play school, big plastic tables that my kids play with. You know what I'm talking about. I know that guy's nodding his head. He's like, I got one of those in my backyard right now. I know what's going on. So we got, mini step ladders. We got the play school tables. I don't know what the hell they'll do with chairs. Maybe they'll have mini chairs again. Everybody can remember back to the chair match between, I think it was Sheamus and Big Show, where they just had that big, huge, monstrous chair from TLC a few years ago. Maybe they'll just have a miniature chair to go in there. I'm not sure. But definitely, I told my good buddy Danny, I used to make some videos with him back in the day where we'd go over the TNA pay-per-views. We do the pre-shows and we do the post-shows. And if you remember O Phenomenal X, as high as that guy gets, he's a good guy. And basically, he was thinking about going to Extreme Rules. He was surprised it snuck up on him also. He wants to head on out to, I think this is at the Izod Center, and check out the show. He doesn't follow wrestling as much as he once did. But basically, I just said, hey, you're gonna see the first ever WLC match. And I thought it was going to be just a big-time joke, and he was going to be like, oh, fuck it, I don't want to go anymore. But he fucking was pumped after I told him about Hornswoggle and Torito. It's going to be a fun match. I think it's definitely going to be a good opener. I'll take Torito to win this one. I don't think anybody's going to pick Hornswoggle, but this is definitely going to be one of those matches where you're like, that was fun near the end of it, unless they have just a whole bunch of shit in the middle. I don't know. But to me, going in, this is the match that I say, I'm excited about this match. I'm glad the WWE Network is going to be giving me this one. Peace out, everybody. Have fun. I'll see you down the road. All right, we're back, everybody. This is Stevie Breach coming to you, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the Extreme Rules 2014 match, which is a clusterfuck, in my opinion. A triple threat match. Why it's a triple threat match? I know why it is, because I watched Monday Night Raw this week, but basically, it doesn't make any sense. You go back to WrestleMania 30 in the pre-show match. You saw the breakup of Cesaro versus Jack Swagger. Basically, they had the match in hand, and just basically, just one mistake ended up costing them as being the tag champions by beating the Usos, and it led to Cesaro beating up Swagger, Swagger beating up Cesaro, and Cesaro leaving Jack Swagger laying. At the end of it, of course, they come back the Monday night after Raw, and Zeb's trying to get Cesaro to calm down, say that we're all a team, we need to come back together. And Cesaro says, I'm not a Zeb guy, I'm a Paul Heyman guy. Paul Heyman comes out, he's the new Paul Heyman guy. Paul Heyman had been basically talking about this on Twitter, but basically because of how Curtis Axel and Ryback both turned out as Paul Heyman guys, nobody was really even pumped out about this. But basically, since Cesaro seems like he's about the hottest shit there is in WWE right now, everybody jumped on this really fast. I mean, Paul was out there with Brock Lesnar when he beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. Everybody can see that basically, having the managerial skills of Paul Heyman, mean something. I mean, the guy beat the streak. I mean, it was 21 years of greatness, and it's all down the drain. It doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, once you put 21-1 on there, you can pretty much say that, the other 21 wins, they're great matches. And they led up to Brock Lesnar beating him. Brock Lesnar is the one. I mean, really, everything Paul has said in all of his promos really do have a meaning. But I mean, like, this should be a match when it comes down to it. Rob Van Dam versus, Jack Swagger. No, what the fuck am I talking about? This should be just a match. Cesaro versus Jack Swagger. That is the match. That is the team that broke up. Those are the guys that went in different directions. We need to find out who the Marty Jannetty of this team is. We all know that Cesaro is on the rise, but we need to know, basically where Jack Swagger is going from here. Jack Swagger is a guy who's been dead and buried. Everybody knows about his, world famous World Heavyweight Championship run of 2010, where basically, he came out of it looking like not much. He had some matches. He won the U.S. title somewhere along the way, and, he was gone for 6 months, doing really nothing after he walked out on Raw because he felt that, he needed to get his, focus back in the game after having so many losing matches on Monday Night Raw. He walked out on AJ, made her flip out, and he comes back, has a match on SmackDown, comes back and wins the Elimination Chamber. I do think that basically Cesaro deserves to win this match. But basically, I don't think this is the end of Jack Swagger. Everybody knows that I'm a big fan of this, and it just means a lot to me that he's on pay-per-view, because there might come a day when he's not on pay-per-view anymore, and I don't really have anything to cheer for. I do think that he has a real bright future. I wouldn't be surprised if he does become World Heavyweight Champion, WWE Champion, somewhere along the way down there. Definitely a U.S. title or an Intercontinental title will be sooner down the road for him. He's still coming into his own. I know that he's been in the WWE for 4 years, and, that seems sort of weird, but he deserves it. He's a good wrestler. Rob Van Dam, on the other hand, I mean, this is the guy that showed up to the Staples Center asking, why nobody had been calling him, why he wasn't in the buzz for WrestleMania. People thought maybe he was going to be added into the, the Andre the Giant 30-man Royal Rumble Classic. Van Dam, ends up having a debut the next night on Raw in a moment that I really don't even remember. I mean, I guess I just knew that he was going to be out there. So much of me on Monday Night Raw was just trying to absorb the weekend of WrestleMania 30. I tried to take it where I cheered for the guys I liked. I didn't really take it all that seriously. I was really pumped, though, for that Triple H versus Daniel Bryan match that never happened at the end, which leads to the Evolution match at this show. But I'm not sure. I mean, I really was sort of pumped that Triple H was going to win the title, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, I was trying to remember, that's probably not going to happen. This guy just won the belt at WrestleMania 30. No matter how bad you screw this guy over, he needs to be the man of your company because he just won the belt at the biggest show after having basically a 6-month storyline building up to this big match, and you're not just going to take it away from him after one night. But as being a big Triple H fan, I really did believe it. Rob Van Dam comes back. He doesn't really have a lot of push behind him. I mean, people are glad that he's back. They like to watch him wrestle matches on TV. I mean, if you go back to his last run, he had the big fanfare of showing up at the Money in the Bank match. And then I bet you can ask 1,000 people what he did after that during his run, and they're not really going to remember his match at SummerSlam on the pre-show against Dean Ambrose. They're not going to remember his feud against Alberto Del Rio. They just didn't really mean anything, and him being added into this match just basically shows me we don't really have anything for Rob. We just got tired of so many people asking, when's RVD coming back? Maybe they were a little embarrassed by him showing up at the Staples Center unannounced and asking for something. Maybe they were scared he was going to go to TNA again, which I guess he's pretty much openly said he's not going to. I don't know, maybe they're scared of Global Force Wrestling, but I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I know in 2002 that Mr. Perfect and Goldust got WWE contracts just basically for the fact that WWE didn't want those guys to go to TNA, even at that point of their career, and they got brought back for the Royal Rumble. So I don't know what they're doing with Van Dam. I don't really see a whole lot in his future. They only really have one championship right now. It's on Daniel Bryan. I don't see Rob Van Dam becoming that guy. During his last run, I really thought that basically, Van Dam would have been a good guy to put into the Paul Heyman family. I I thought it made sense with him being an ECW guy, but so many people like Rob Van Dam, but then again, so many people like Cesaro right now. Also, he's pretty much the hottest guy on the whole roster that everybody knows is going to be a big thing. I mean, there's him and there's Roman Reigns. People know that both of those guys are going to be big time champions in the future, and they want to get behind him. In this match, I'm picking Cesaro to get the win. A little piece of me thinks that maybe well, definitely Swagger's not going to win this match, but maybe Van Dam will get the win, but I don't really know how that bids in, because I think most people want to see this match, see Cesaro and Swagger go at it. Maybe they just didn't want to have these guys as heels have a match against each other, even though they broke up as a tag team. They just figured they wanted to put a babyface in there, but to me, still, it openly doesn't make sense. So many people thought Cesaro was going to turn babyface. He's still heel. There's some people thinking that maybe they're going to go along this whole thing of Paul Heyman building up, Brock Lesnar so much, and Cesaro getting jealous that it leads to a Cesaro versus Brock Lesnar match. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with that. I mean, we've seen Cesaro beat Randy Orton. We've seen Cesaro almost beat Jack Swagger. No, we've seen Cesaro almost beat John Cena. You would think that, somewhere down the road, he needs to get the big win also, like Daniel Bryan, to put him over the top. But we'll see what's going down. It's going to be a good event. We'll go on to the next match after this, and I'll see you on down the road. Peace out. All right, in this long line of videos, basically, this is going to be the shortest video of them all. Extreme Rules is featuring one squash match. In a weird way, it's not really booked as a squash match. You don't really see, too many 2-on-1 handicap matches. But in a match, Alexander Rusev, which is the big guy coming out of NXT, there's more people talking about his manager right now than more people talking about him himself. But basically, he was a good wrestler in NXT, and he has a good gimmick of just basically beating the piss out of each other and making people tap out. But I think that Rusev will find out somewhere along the way that I don't think there's a bright future with this gimmick. I don't really see it going to big high places, and them giving him, a match against Xavier Woods and R-Truth isn't the right way to push him in the right direction. I know a lot of people have said that, with NXT, with Triple H and his whole regime, he's not going to put people on the roster until they really have something for them to do. We saw, Alexander Rusev get put in the Royal Rumble. We saw Alexander Rusev be put on SmackDown and Raw, basically coming out giving the same promo week after week about how big and how bad this guy is, with Lana coming out there, just saying how he was going to take over WWE. But when I go back and I think about guys that get brought in, Brock Lesnar was a guy that got brought in, and he was put in handicap matches, but he was fighting against guys like the Hardy Boys. Back when Brock Lesnar made his debut after WrestleMania, the Hardy Boys weren't pushovers. They were, two of the biggest guys in the tag division when WWE actually had a tag division. R-Truth and Xavier Woods are barely a tag team. I mean, it makes no sense why this is even a match. This is going to be the match that, basically, I think there's a Divas match on this show. Yeah, because AJ's taking on, no, not AJ, because she's gone. Paige is taking on AJ's lackey. And basically, that's going to be a Divas match where everybody runs to the bathroom, everybody runs and they grab another, grape soda or whatever they're drinking during the show. It's a beer match. It's able, for the guys at the arena to get up, go fill up their Cokes, go grab another beer, maybe get some hot dogs, maybe get some nachos. This is the match that's not going to matter. Alexander Rusev, if you asked 100 people, is going to be picked to win this match somewhere along the way. R-Truth and Xavier Woods will not have the advantage for longer than 5 seconds in this match. Alexander Rusev is going to be able to show off that he is a beast, but when it comes down to it at Payback, he better have a real competitor. It sort of scared me. My favorite thing when the WWE scripts, when they leak, a lot of people like to read the scripts to sort of see like what people change along the way during the show. I like to see the way they list the wrestlers at the bottom of the script, because to me it's like the power rankings. There's the baby faces, there's the heels, there's the managers, there's the people you can call if you need them, there's the commentators. But basically, if you look at the list of baby faces and you look at the list of heels, it's like John Cena, Daniel Bryan, and then just where you rank from there on out. And Alexander Rusev, even though he was coming up from NXT, was like one of the lower guys from NXT. Maybe this is what it was. Maybe they need Rusev to beat Woods and beat R-Truth to raise higher on the power rankings for the WWE writing people to know that he matters more. But I'm sure a lot of people watching the show are going to be glad that they get to see Lana. I always love when I see some Lana retweets on those pictures that you know I'm talking about. So hopefully people have fun retweeting those pictures during the show. But I don't think R-Truth and Xavier Woods are going to be having fun during the show. I'm guessing they'll be being loaded up on a gurney, taken to the hospital as Rusev kills these guys and rips them limb from limb. We'll go on to the next match from here, and peace out. Alright, as discussed in the last video, the Divas Championship is on the line, with Paige going up against Tamina Snuka. Tamina Snuka being in the WWE for the last 4 years. I believe this is her first pay-per-view Divas Championship match. She seemed like when she came in with the Usos that she was going to be a big deal in the WWE, and it never really, fizzled and faded out. Basically, she became AJ Lee's lackey somewhere along the way. And it's almost like what this match is. I mean, it's kind of weird that, they have a, wasn't it a Divas Battle Royal? I don't think they had a Divas Gauntlet match to find out who the number one contender was. And it was a real surprise that Tamina Snuka won this match. Honestly, in my mind, I know that, every girl has to have their shot. And with AJ, it seems like she went through every single person in the roster, and there was no one basically left for her to fight. Why they didn't try to make Caitlyn another contender, I have no idea. But basically, during AJ's run, she quit the company anyways. Caitlyn versus AJ were some of the best matches AJ had on her run to where they get there. I know that there's a lot of people who want to push Naomi from the Funkadactyls, and there was a proposed storyline of her winning the championship at WrestleMania to give her a big WrestleMania moment and put Total Divas over. Maybe Natalya gets one more run as the Divas champ somewhere along the way. I don't know. That would have made more sense to me along the way. AJ almost got her 1-year title run. Maybe they'll make the AJ Lee plaque and sell that on WWE Shop. But as of right now, there's people saying that AJ Lee is injured and she's at home. There's some people saying that basically she took off because she lost the championship. She wants to be with her fiance. And she's basically, this could be you at the pay-per-view. AJ, this could be you wrestling Paige for the Divas Championship, making a good check at Extreme Rules. But you're at home with CM Punk playing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't see WWE trying to use Tamina to get to AJ Lee to get to CM Punk, basically because, besides for the Ultimate Warrior documentary with them putting the little Post-it note sticker over CM Punk's face when they shot the Royal Rumble poster on the wall, WWE really hasn't taken a whole lot of shots at CM Punk. If you remember, when Stone Cold Steve Austin walked out of WWE at WrestleMania, when Stone Cold Steve Austin walked out on the WWE in 2002, there wasn't any sort of like ceasefire. WWE took every shot in the world, calling out Austin, saying that he walked out. They flew The Rock in to give a promo about get the F out. Just basically saying if you didn't want to be here, get out. They published a Raw magazine burying the guy on his whole decision. And WWE right now has basically been quiet in the fact. And I don't think that WWE is going to use a match on the pay-per-view Extreme Rules to send a message to the smart fans out there thinking that there's any meaning behind there. I think that it was Tamina's time. It made sense since she was the muscle behind AJ the whole time that maybe she would step up and try and get revenge for AJ Lee, even without mentioning AJ Lee along the way. I don't think there's a chance in hell that basically Tamina's going to beat Paige. Paige is going to be the champion. She's going to lock in the Scorpion crosslock. Hopefully she'll bring that that bat with the barbed wire, aka Janice from TNA. Hopefully she'll be bringing that to Extreme Rules, and we'll see what's going to happen along the way. But as far as I know, that this isn't a no DQ match. It's just a Divas Championship match, and that's what's going to go down to the pay-per-view. My money's on Paige. We'll see where we go from there, and we'll go on to the next match. Alright, in the next match, we have the Intercontinental Championship being defended. Your champion, Big E Langston, had a Intercontinental Champion #1 contender tournament based out, and Bad News Barrett was your winner. This was a big way to bring Bad News Barrett back to the fold. Basically, Wade Barrett, the AKA, bare-knuckled shoot fighter, from the streets. That whole gimmick really didn't get over, and basically there was a point when just Barrett just stopped getting used on TV. I don't know if they took advantage of a time when basically his visa expired and he wasn't able to work on TV, or if it just was well known, Wade, it's just not working, and we need to find something else out. There was a gimmick that was brought up from the JBL and Cole show of Bad News Barrett coming in, and I've got some bad news. That's my horrible Wade Barrett impression. I don't know who that sounds like more. It sounds like more like the fake Sean Connery from Saturday Night Live. That was pretty bad. But basically, I think that Wade Barrett is the future of the WWE. I went on record and I said this, during 2010 with the Nexus run, Wade Barrett should have been, the WWE champion. He should have beat John Cena. He should have had his time there. He should have beat Randy Orton. There was so many times in 2010 that Wade should have won the title. And I thought that, basically when he got kicked out of the Nexus by CM Punk by losing that steel cage match on Monday Night Raw and going over to SmackDown, that I thought that he was basically going there to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and he was going to, basically start his career as a SmackDown superstar with, another group called The Core, and that never really panned out. Here we are, 2014, and he's been the Intercontinental Champion, and we really haven't seen anything else from that along the way. Him getting a win over Big E Langston would be a great way to push him up, which is kind of hard for me because I want to see Wade Barrett go up, and at the same time, I want to see Big E Langston. But, the things that have happened to Big E Langston are the same things that have happened in the past, like Cesaro to, who is the United States Championship right now? Do you know that Dean Ambrose is the champion? It took me a minute right there. I had to stall because I was trying to think of what who the actual champion was. Once you put the belt on that person, WWE is like, well, you're the champion. You can lose a ton of matches by disqualification. You can lose a lot of matches that are non-title matches because you're the champ. You're going to show up on Raw the next week and people aren't going to remember. We remember the guys lose all the time. Basically being the Intercontinental Champion, being the U.S. Championship right now is basically a kiss of death. I love Big E Langston. I think he's going to be a World Heavyweight Champion somewhere along the way. He's definitely going to be a main eventer for the WWE. He just needs to, just basically take his time to work his way up to being in that spot. But I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that Big E Langston loses this, maybe so we can have a back and forth sort of title exchange with them having matches on pay-per-view, with them just sort of like, surprising some people on how good these matches are going to be. When it comes down to it, I want to take Wade Barrett. I also want to take Big E Langston, but I know like if Big E wins, where does Wade go from here? He beat Rob Van Dam. He beat Sheamus. He outdueled, a former World Heavyweight Champion and Jack Swagger. Cesaro was also in this tournament. That was a pretty stacked tournament, and he gets to the end of it and he wins it. If Big E, was to lose the belt and lose the match, where does he go from here? Does he get lost in the shuffle? I just don't want to see them, get lost in, mid-card mania and, really nothing ever really come out of it. When it comes down to it, if I had to put my money on this match, I take Wade Barrett. I think he has the brightest future. As of right now, he needs to get that career back going. I mean, it was a good 5 months, I would guess, without being on Raw or SmackDown, wrestling in a match. Of course, everybody's going to remember his moments like at Elimination Chamber, coming out and doing the Bad News Barrett skits over and over and over again, being on the JBL and Cole show. But, Wade Barrett is a great superstar. He needs to be in the ring. He needs to be wrestling matches. This is what we need to see from the British brawler out there, is him get a big win, become the IC champ, and then have a good series of matches against Big E Langston, where they trade the belt back and forth, and they really build up the main mid-card to something somebody really cares about, and, to the fact of this not having to see one guy be champion for 6 months and get no wins on television in the meantime. So that's that from this match. That's me talking about Bad News Barrett and Big E Langston. We'll go on to the next match. Talk to you guys later. All right, here we are getting into what it would seem to be the main event of Extreme Rules. There's 3 big matches. Here's the first one. John Cena going up against Bray Wyatt in a steel cage match. Inside the cage. I thought it was pretty cool for the effect of the promo that, it also really kept the Wyatts and the kids out of the ring for that fact, for them not having to, say if like it was Bray really controlling that choir to the fact that he hypnotized them with his mind, that they came down there and they sing them, or they, real members of the Wyatt clan as little kids, and they were out for blood. And if the cage wasn't there, maybe that's what separated them from ripping into the ring and like little zombies attacking John Cena and ripping him from limb to limb and sucking his blood dry. I'm not sure, but back in the day, if this was like in the 80s and this was a big cage match, of course everybody knows they would have the green screen promos in the back, and they would show them and they would put up the one piece of the steel cage, and the wrestler would hold on to the cage and he'd shoot his promo, yelling out through the sides. Everybody can remember Hulk Hogan doing that 1,000 times, Macho Man and Zeus, and that one, big, huge promo leading at the SummerSlam doing the same thing. But I had a big, huge problem with this going into WrestleMania. I remember when the match was first announced, Dave Meltzer went on the record and he wrote about it, the WrestleMania matches as they're planned right now, and everybody was saying Bray Wyatt versus John Cena, and I looked at it as if it was like almost a joke. I mean, if you really look at it, Bray Wyatt had matches, with Daniel Bryan. He had matches with Kane at SummerSlam in the Inferno match. And, he was at a place, he had a lot of fanfare when he came in, delivering the Wyatt promos. Everybody knew that, he was really good in NXT. And how far would they let him go in WWE? If a lot of people felt that if they took the ropes off him and they just let him be himself, this was really going to go far. But I didn't really believe that he was going to get John Cena. John Cena is always a guy that has that match at at WrestleMania. We've seen him wrestle guys like Triple H, Edge, Shawn Michaels. We've never seen him wrestle The Undertaker. That's a match that everybody wishes they could see. But he fights that top echelon of guys. He doesn't dip down and fight the main eventers. He's never really used a big match like this in order to put somebody over and put them in the main event. Everybody can remember the match that I always pushed so hard, the Bash 09, John Cena versus The Miz. I thought that they were really going to put Miz into a spot where he really mattered in WWE, and they used that spot to just really kill The Miz and just, make sure that John Cena was on the card. That card wouldn't have been any better, and it wouldn't have been any worse without that match. They just sort of, honestly, it was good TV to me on Raw, seeing Miz get these opportunities to have these matches where he called them wins against John Cena. And, he was already a guy that mattered. It just sort of seemed like it made people hate him a little bit more because he was getting these wins over John Cena. But, I didn't need that on the Bash 09. It just didn't help me to see the guy that I was really hoping to see, get a win. But, then again, even though in 2009, here we are in 2014, John Cena is the guy that so many people, watch his matches because they're hoping this is the one that Cena actually loses. This is the one where, maybe Cena actually flips out and turns heel. And that's what, a lot of people saw from that promo on Monday, that he's really slipping into a different place that we've never seen him before. Every time we see Cena sort of worried, it's always the first time we've ever seen, John Cena this worried before. But to me, honestly, this is on the same show that we saw John Cena grant 3 separate Make-A-Wish dreams and, really help 3 kids out. If you turn him heel, if he starts becoming the guy who wears the black hat and, he's the guy who hunts down Daniel Bryan, or, joins Evolution and the Authority, or starts growing a beard and wearing, a Bray Wyatt hat, he's not really going to be having the chances to do those things. John Cena is going to be a babyface from here almost to eternity. I wouldn't be surprised if he never does the Hulk Hogan NWO turn. And so many people complain about John Cena being the huge babyface that they never notice that, that they keep watching because they keep believing that this heel turn is coming, that it's working for them to keep him the way that he is, wearing the neon green shirts and wristbands and having all the little kids believe in him. As I was a kid and I was watching wrestling, my dad never really took the effort to watch with me. I'm not a second generation wrestling fan. I know that a lot of, the kids that are my age who have kids that are a little bit older that watch wrestling, the kids love John Cena and the parents, watch wrestling and hating him. But I'm sure that if my dad was a second generation wrestling fan, he would have been watching what I was watching and wanting, you know, somebody to rip Hulk Hogan's head off at the same time. So I think that he's filling a void in wrestling that everybody has. This match, I picked Bray Wyatt to win this match at WrestleMania. I don't know why he didn't win the match. I did when I was walking around WrestleMania Access. See so many dads walking around with little kids wearing the Cena hat, the wristbands, and the shirts. And just thinking, you know, what if Cena does actually lose at WrestleMania? All these kids are going to be crying. How many of these dads are actually not real wrestling fans? They just, you know, had the money, had the vacation time, and said, you know, why don't I take my kid on a vacation that they really want to see? I'll take him to WrestleMania. You know, we'll go see New Orleans. And it'll be a dream that, you know, he's always going to remember. John Cena, he gets killed at WrestleMania. All these kids came so far. The dad spent so much money. And, you know, do they go back to WrestleMania next year? Even though, you know, John Cena, of course, is going to get built up and be a big deal. Of course, the kid, of course, the dad is going to remember all the tears of WrestleMania night, Cena not getting the win. So maybe I do forgive them and they understand. But Bray Wyatt has to win this match. I don't think it's going to have the same effect of if Bray Wyatt won at WrestleMania. Everybody's always going to remember the WrestleMania match. It's not so much that John Cena wins every year at WrestleMania. It's just that Bray Wyatt is like the lowest guy, I guess you can say, to ever do it. It's going to be such a memorable moment that everybody's going to remember from here on out. That, you know, Bray Wyatt's going to have a match and everybody's going to remember, this is the guy that beat John Cena at WrestleMania. Not only did he beat him, I mean, like, we've seen John Cena lose to the guys like Lord Tensai, but he beat him on the biggest stage of them all on WrestleMania. John Cena is the kind of guy that knows he has to show up on this show, and he showed up 100%, and Bray beat him. He's a guy that you have to watch out for. He's a guy that can get a win on any stage, on any time, at any night. But this is a cage. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that you see Harper and Rowan getting in this match, and it's the 3-on-1 inside of the cage. I don't know if you can build into the storyline, if John Cena can have a friend come out there and help him. About the only friend I can think he really has is Biggie Langston, and they don't really play off that a whole bunch. They just seem to tag together every once in a while. But we'll see. I hope, I pray, Bray Wyatt gets the win here. It's fun to see him up against Cena, and we'll see what happens. Extreme Rules. It's a big match inside of a cage. You don't have to pay for it because you already got the network. And I know you watched all those other pay-per-views and various specials, so it's not like you're really paying $10 this month just to watch this show. You're going to watch it. You're going to love it. Bray's going to get the win. Yes, 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 yes. That's what we were chanting at WrestleMania 30. It wasn't that long ago when Daniel Bryan won the WWE Championship right there in front of everybody. And everybody was yesing, and they were shooting the confetti, and they were lighting off fireworks, and it was a huge party. I was giving Justin Sub Bryan, RKO, NWO, RKO, the infamous NWO, the biggest wrestling hug of a lifetime that two bros can share when their favorite wrestler wins the big one. I mean, that was awesome. I mean, like, everybody was chanting from Daniel Bryan, from even before the SummerSlam match, seeing him win the championship, get screwed out of it by Triple H and Randy Orton cashing in, and then just the road he took where he had to go through fighting Randy Orton 1,000 times, where he had to go through fighting the Wyatts, teaming with CM Punk, not being involved in the Royal Rumble, joining the Wyatts, beating the fuck out of Bray Wyatt. I don't know, man. It seemed like Daniel Bryan was on that rise, that claim to fame, and then Extreme Rules, his first championship run, is having both the titles where they don't take him away from him, and they put him up against Kane. Yeah, Kane? I don't know if I can yes to that. They did a whole lot more than I thought they were going to. Basically, Libertarian Glenn is gone. No more of this, sort of backstage Kane where he took the mask off and he's just, walking around in slacks and he's wrestling in his dress shoes with the New Age Outlaws. Kane is Kane. He put the mask back on. He's got the full-on outfit. He's wearing the one glove on his hand, and he's out for blood. I mean, they did everything they can do where he's, Stephanie McMahon's hired monster. he wasn't even hired. He just sort of gave himself up. He told Stephanie, like, I don't know if he wanted to be with her or if he knew it was going to be better for him. That whole segment on Raw, even today, really honestly, still seems really, really weird to me when you go back and you try to think about, basically what was going on there, what they were doing. I don't know. I mean, like, they've done everything they can do. Kane has came out and attacked Daniel Bryan. He gave him 3 tombstones, one in the ring, one on the ring steps, one on the announcer's table. I think one was on the floor, actually. But, Daniel Bryan has been, broken down. I mean, a guy that's only 5'10", the same size as me, with a bad neck, going up against a 7-foot-tall monster at 300 pounds is a big, big difference. They do have a history. They do have a timeline going back, with them, being tag partners with Dr. Shelby. I really thought that Dr. Shelby was to do some sort of a pop-in on this before this match, especially when Kane wasn't wearing the mask yet. But I guess they didn't want to jump in on that. They really didn't have a whole lot of time. But I'm hoping that Daniel Bryan is going to close the door on these two, on their love-hate relationship. Maybe they'll copy from TNA, and maybe, Kane has the match. Then he feels sorry about everything that he does, and maybe Kane will turn babyface and cry to Daniel Bryan to accept him, and then he has his friend back in his corner. I'm not 100% sure, but basically to me, this is not the way that you want to kick off, a big, a big star. You don't put the belt on somebody, or the belts on somebody at WrestleMania, unless you want them to be the number one guy of the company, and you want them to take off and become, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan type of status. I mean, Joe Blows don't win the title at WrestleMania. They win the title at Extreme Rules. I mean, it's one of those various, special event pay-per-views along the way. You win the title in your house. True main eventers that go on to be joining the WWE Hall of Fame someday. Those are the guys that win the title at WrestleMania 30 and in the show with the the confetti storm, with the basically the fireworks and all that. Guys like oh shit, I think Chris Benoit won it at WrestleMania 20. We'll scratch that one out and we'll go to a different one. But Daniel Bryan is going to beat Kane. No doubt in my mind. I know there's a big difference. He'll find some way to do it. He's been crafty his whole career. He's always been basically the smaller guy that wasn't supposed to be there. But, just basically, he is the best wrestler in the world, and he will rise above and find a way to do it. I guarantee it. There's no other way around it. Kane is not walking out of there with those 2 titles. Kane might find a way where he's kicked out of the Authority. That would make a lot of sense to me after losing this match, with Stephanie saying that basically, he stepped up to the plate. They gave him the first title shot. He didn't deliver. And now it's on to, Batista, Orton, or Triple H to win the title. We'll have to see what goes on from there. All right, everybody. Here we are. We made it to the main event of Extreme Rules 2014. And it's going to be The Shield going up against Evolution. The Shield, one of the strongest trios that we have ever seen in the WWE. But then also on the other end, we have Evolution, one of the strongest, sort of stables that WWE has ever put together as well. There's so many things that I could go on about this match. I can go on for days, especially after watching the Ric Flair promo on Monday Night Raw. I do think that something was funny with Ric Flair along the way. I don't know if maybe he, disappeared at Monday Night Raw. I'm not one to, point fingers and say that Ric Flair was on drugs. I don't want to go as far as some people have said about that. But Flair definitely was a little bit weird. Maybe he disappeared into a dressing room and, Grandpa's cough syrup somewhere along the way. It just didn't seem like the Ric Flair that I have seen in the past. It definitely wasn't along the same lines of a promo that he gave when he was at Old School Raw. Earlier, it wasn't the promos that when he came back from TNA and he was with The Miz. He was on a whole nother planet, even when it comes to Ric Flair standards. It just didn't make sense to me. And we can see that, when you look at Evolution, you think of Randy Orton, you think of Batista, you think of Triple H. I don't know how many titles these guys have had. I think, Triple H has been 14-time World Heavyweight Champion. Orton's probably somewhere around 10. Batista's had his good couple of runs himself. I mean, that's a lot of champions on one team. And, the Shield is no, sort of, being champion is not weird to them. They were tag team champions with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns for a good long while. Dean Ambrose has held the United States Championship for over a year. I am excited to see his 3-on-1 match at SmackDown tonight. I stayed away from the spoilers from the one reason of I wanted to see this match. I wanted to see, what was going to happen and what went down. He's fighting against, who's all in that match? Ryback, Curtis Axel, and Alberto Del Rio. 3 guys that don't have a match on Extreme Rules. And there's a lot of matches on this show. I don't even think that they could have a United States Championship match, even if somebody does beat Ambrose along the way. I think that it's just sort of going to get lost in the shuffle. I hope that Ambrose keeps the United States Championship, but at the same time, it's a belt that he doesn't need. It's hard to even really think up unless you go to house shows. Thinking of when his last United States Championship match was. The last one to me that really mattered was SummerSlam. So, that was a good 7 months ago off the top of my head without, breaking out a calendar and doing the math. I think that you could tell by, the Ric Flair promo when, he put over Evolution and then he went over and he put over the Shield. The Evolution isn't as strong of a unit as we might think. These guys might have been friends and they might have been buddies years ago around WrestleMania 20 to WrestleMania 21. But, there's a lot of friction between these guys. Maybe these guys don't even really believe in each other. Maybe all 3 guys are really looking for the limelight. But they thought it was a guarantee that their buddy Ric Flair was going to come down and basically say that they were going to win this match and the Shield needed to watch out. And here they are basically telling Evolution that these guys are the future. These guys are the ones that you need to watch out for. And, you guys might be in trouble when it comes Sunday because you guys might be run over by the freight train. Well, there's a whole bunch of talk about where everyone's going. I think everybody thinks that all 3 members of the Shield is going to be, big timers. I really think so. I think if anybody in the shuffle could get lost, to me, it's Seth Rollins. When it comes down to it, Seth Rollins is the one guy that I really like to watch his matches more than anything. I'm not one of the guys who jumps up out of there and says, like, oh, I was a Tyler Black fan back in ROH. I watched his whole career before he even got into the WWE as Seth Rollins in the Shield. But, I've seen some stuff and it's good. And a lot of times when I watch Shield matches, he's the one guy that stands alone. I do stand up for Roman Reigns. When everybody came in, everybody was all over Dean Ambrose for him finally making his debut. Everybody said that he was going to be a big-time guy. They loved him watching him watch the Indies and I think CZW. Seth Rollins had the Tyler Black thing in ROH and nobody was really talking about Roman Reigns. So I said, fuck it. That's the guy that I want to see. And that's the guy that was running people over. He was the guy that was finishing the matches. He was the guy that was getting the wins. And when I met him at SummerSlam this year, I told him, because the buzz really hadn't taken over. People knew that he was a Triple H guy, but the word wasn't out there that this guy is a surefire main eventer for the WWE. This is the guy that they want to build around. It really hasn't, came down to it. And he was at the end of the table. I met the other 2 guys, and I met him, and I said, Roman, I don't know the best way to say this, but there's got to come a day. No, that's not what I said. I didn't say that. I said, I don't want to bring any offense to these 2 other guys that are here. And they automatically were like, oh, I'm interested. I want to see what he has to say because he thought I was going to slam him. And I said, those 2 guys are really good, but you're my guy. And there's going to come a day when you kick their ass and I'm going to be cheering because I'm going to be able to say that I was your fan from day one. And he said that was cool. And even Seth Rollins from the far end of the table said that's really cool. It takes a lot of respect to say that to our face. And, I just really hope that happens. And everybody's saying that, the SummerSlam main event is going to be Roman Reigns versus Triple H. They have to be able to get to that match somehow. And I don't really see how Roman Reigns, as a member of the Shield, is still able to do this. And I know that where this is going, it always has 100 people groaning about what I'm about to say because, from the Royal Rumble, from Elimination Chamber, from WrestleMania. Every match was supposed to be their last. We saw these guys eliminate each other from the Royal Rumble. We saw them, lose a big match at Elimination Chamber. And then at WrestleMania, they fought like it was no man's business. Basically, a babyface group taking out the authority, showing, the WWE that these three guys are three guys that matters. But for Roman Reigns to be at this point in 3 months at SummerSlam, we have to see something happen to the Shield. You can't have, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose on the outside of a SummerSlam main event. It doesn't really make any sense to have two guys from your group be out there as your manager and not just say, like, I'm going to go out there and fight this one alone. The Shield is at the height of its popularity right now because basically everyone loved these guys when they were heels. But basically a lot of the kids, the marks, the people that believe in the shit, hated them because they were bad guys. Now they're good guys. Everyone loves them. Almost 100% of the board, everyone across the board loves the Shield. You're not going to have that moment of what the fuck is going on if you don't break these guys up sooner than later. I can easily see the dissension in the Shield coming back. I don't know if it's just going to be Ambrose turns his back on Roman, and then maybe you have a match next month at Payback of Ambrose versus Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins is on the outside. Maybe he's trying to put them back together. Maybe he has to play peacemaker, or maybe you make him the special guest referee, and maybe then he turns his back on Roman Reigns and joins as Ambrose. People thought that Mason Ryan was going to step up and he was going to be a part of the Shield, basically for the one part of he's a big dude and almost has the same shape and look as Roman Reigns. He's gone. Can't do it with him no more. So I'm not 100% sure. I want to pick Evolution for this because when you break down why this match is happening is because Triple H wanted to become champion by beating Daniel Bryan on the Monday Night Raw after. Randy Orton and Batista did his bidding. They went out there and kicked Daniel Bryan's match, and the Shield came down and was like, no, it's not happening like this. Basically they stood up for what they came to the WWE up for. They stood up for the injustice. They basically stood their ground, and that's what set up the Evolution match against the Shield. Basically, when it comes down to it, Evolution wants to be the champions. That's why they're fighting the Shield. I don't know how they get from here to there. People say Batista's not going to be there next month because he's going to be out, promoting his big Marvel movie. And, basically all the people that met him at Access are going to be glad they met him because he's going to be a huge star when he comes back to the WWE after being in this big, huge Marvel movie. I want to pick them. I want to pick the Shield. I'm 100% torn. I think if I had to make a prediction, if I had to put my money down, I'm going to take Evolution in this match, basically because one of these three guys has to be a main eventer next month against Daniel Bryan. I don't want to see Daniel Bryan versus Kane 2. Please help me on this. I think this is going to be a great show. Like I said in the very beginning of this string of videos, is that this show is basically free. I think that almost 100% of the people who watch this video, a good number of you already have a WWE network. You've been signed up since February, since the day after Elimination Chamber. It's not like you're really having to call anybody and pay $10 to watch this show. You're already knowing that $10 is going to come out of your month on the 20-something of this month. It's not costing you anything. Everyone's going to watch this. This is a big, huge game changer for the WWE. No longer are pay-per-views going to be watched by maybe 10% of the viewers of people who watch WWE. There's a chance for everyone that watches Raw, everyone that watches SmackDown, your Total Diva viewers, people who watch main events, your Slam City people, everyone's going to watch this. This is a huge game changer. I know this video is a month late, but it wasn't like this for me for WrestleMania because I had a ticket, I had a plane ticket, I had a seat, I had a hotel. I was in New Orleans. I didn't get to watch it on the network. I think we watched it when we got back into our hotel room because we wanted to see Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar one more time. We couldn't believe what happened when we were there. We had to see if it really happened on the footage. But this is going to be fun. This is going to be awesome. Big shout outs to all my friends out there. And it's going to be awesome. I mean, it's just really going to be fun that everybody has a chance to see the shows. People aren't going to be scouring YouTube. People aren't going to be downloading, torrents. It's just no more streams. Just, it's you and your TV. Call your buddies over. Order some pizza. cook up some hot wings, go get a keg of beer. It's awesome. Nitro parties are back, only it's WWE Network parties. Yeah.